A Course in Miracles asks us to be vigilant for the kingdom. What I have learned through my own practice is when I am consistent, I get results. But if I only do it somewhat, if I remember 4 or 5 times today to watch my mind and to remember what I truly want to be grateful for and make the shift, and the rest of the time I continue to allow my mind to dwell on resentment, well, to be honest, I don't really get those results. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about what happened, all right? Somewhere between here and the message of the code. And it's the message of the code that's eventually coming that really did help me to start making this shift in a more consistent way. Okay? But after this message, although I got it somewhat and I practiced it somewhat, for the most part, I continued to let my mind dwell on resentment. And so what happened is exactly what Spirit said would happen. This resentment expanded in my experience. It got bigger, and it got bigger, and it got bigger. And I remember one night in the grocery store. I mean, it sounds like a ridiculous story, and it is a ridiculous story. One of the things that I resented about Laurent, okay, was the way he spent money. I had always been what I considered frugal. I was even quite proud of how frugal I was. I never considered myself cheap. I felt like I did know when to spend money, but I also knew when not to, right? I was very, and I knew how to make choices that would keep money in the budget so it could be spent on other things that I preferred more, right? Well, my perception, of course, was that Laurent had a different value system. Laurent seemed to enjoy the finer things. He got pleasure out of the finer things. Maybe he even identified with the finer things. Prince Laurent. And there were lots of things he spent money on that really bothered me, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it with resentment. Like not only did he buy bottled water, but he had to buy the most expensive bottled water. It seemed like whenever he reached for anything on the grocery shelf, and at this time he and Jasmine and I were all going grocery shopping together, so when he reached, I had to watch. Whenever he reached for anything on the grocery shelf, he always reached for the most expensive. And to quote, make it even worse, and of course this isn't true, it wasn't worse. What was happening is all of this was for my healing, but I'm speaking from the ego's point of view now, please understand, because I was watching this from the ego's point of view at that time. To make it even worse, Jasmine started learning from him. And so I'm walking through the store with Laurent and Jasmine, each grabbing the most expensive option that they could grab. And I had a meltdown of meltdowns. In fact, I don't remember ever having a meltdown this big before in my life. Are you ready? When the butter that I bought was 97 cents. And we've been using the same butter for years. I liked the butter, Jasmine liked the butter, and Laurent reached up and grabbed some butter that, I don't know, was $2.50. $2.50, guys, we're talking about. And I hated him so much in that moment for grabbing that butter that I couldn't even stand there and watch. I walked away. Laurent may remember this. I walked away from him and Jasmine. I didn't say a word. I walked away. I went all the way to the other end of Walmart. And Walmart, has these benches. And I sat down on a bench. And there was so much hate. So much hate. It was unbelievable, really, how much hate I was feeling. I think if I remember correctly, Laurent, You and Jasmine actually finished shopping not knowing where I was. Do you remember this? You finished the shopping. You went and you paid for the groceries. And I still was nowhere to be found. And you even tried paging me, if I remember correctly. And I couldn't come because I hated so much. Because of that $2.50 butter. Finally, I did come. You guys waited out in the parking lot or somewhere, and I came and got in the car and we went home. Now this sounds, it may sound like not a good story, but actually this is a very happy story now. Because this situation woke me up to what I was doing. It shocked me. It shocked me. The level of hate that I felt shocked me. But it also woke me up. But this message that we're reading now, came weeks before that happened. Weeks before the butter incident. And do you know how we got to the butter incident? It was by me not taking this message as seriously as I could have. I mean, it's okay. In the end, it all worked out. But I took this message lightly. It's a simple little message. Look at it, guys. It's a simple little message, right? It's not some deep spiritual book that's 1,000 pages long. It's a simple little message. And you know what? I took it lightly. I didn't listen. I didn't practice. And I continued to let those resentment thoughts in my mind build and build and build until I felt so much hate. Well, I didn't know that I was capable of hating that much, to be honest. So I guess the reason I'm telling this story is because, Jesus says in A Course in Miracles that we can learn from His experience. We don't have to go through the same things that He went through. That's what He says. Doesn't mean we won't, but He says we don't have to. You can learn from me if you want to. You don't have to get to the point where you're ready to murder someone because they grabbed butter that cost $2.50.